Hello, everyone, and welcome to a special episode of Salty Saturday. Normally, we spend this time talking about the stupidity of Hollywood and whatever entertainment news is kind of like out there and trending. But today, I want to talk about something a little bit different. So, this show is going to be outside of our normal kind of content because I feel like there was something that happened this week that is a real turning point, not just in the United States, but across the world. And it brings up issues that I think need to be talked about. And we're going to talk about them. Normally, we like to joke that we talk about stuff nobody cares about. But this is something that a lot of people care about. And frankly, it's something that everyone should care about. And it does have to do with the brutal assassination of Charlie Kirk. And if you don't know who Charlie Kirk is, or you never really cared about him or whatever, the ramifications of his murder are far-reaching. And that's the thing that we really want to talk about today. Is it's not necessarily about his death, but it's about what his death exposed and the new climate that we're now facing, not just in our daily lives, but most importantly, online. Now, I can remember in 2008, something happened called the election of Barack Obama. And before that, there was kind of like some civil discourse. Like you could debate people and you could disagree and you didn't have to be worried about anything. At least sometimes elected officials or like what have you would, put themselves on the line and get assassinated or violence would be committed against them. But if you were just like an average person expressing your opinion, you didn't have to worry necessarily about, getting canceled or getting assaulted or getting murdered. But with the election of Barack Obama, something started to shift. And I can remember I was living and working in Hollywood at the time. And slowly but surely, we saw this kind of shift where people were basically canceled for not supporting Barack Obama or speaking out against his policies. They'd literally get blacklisted in Hollywood. And their children would be shamed at school. And I actually belonged to a group called Friends of Abe, which was started by Gary Sinise. And we'd have these meetings occasionally. And they were basically just people who would be considered traditional conservatives or Republicans who would gather in Hollywood. And I would hear these like horrible stories about how people who disagreed with the left, who was in charge of Hollywood, would be treated, would be talked about, and would be punished for their beliefs. And I've always had this philosophy of live and let live. It's okay to agree to disagree. It's okay to have differing opinions. And I've been, by and large, extremely tolerant of people who believe differently than me. No matter how much I disagreed with them, I'd always be like, okay, well, it's your right to believe what you believe. And if we can't come to some type of middle ground or we can't come to some type of understanding, then we'll just go our separate ways and you live your life and I live mine. But with the death of Charlie Kirk, this has changed, not just on my end, but it's become clear that there is a large group of people out there in this country who, just like in that microcosm of Hollywood in the Barack Obama era, truly believe that if you disagree with them, you deserve to be killed. And that's what the Charlie Kirk death is really about. This is a man, it doesn't matter if you agreed with him or not. He was out there expressing his freedom of speech and trying to engage with people who disagreed with him. And for that crime, he was killed. And then after he was killed, you saw this outpouring of support of the fact that he was murdered. And that's the real issue here, is that for too long, people on the right side of the aisle who have been very tolerant and very accepting and willing to basically let the left go as crazy as they want to go, have allowed this type of mentality to fester. And it's gotten to the point where if we don't start pushing back, if we don't start calling these people on their bad behavior and their lunatic beliefs, we are going to be the ones who are murdered next. Because there is no coming to common ground with people who want to kill you. And what we've seen in the aftermath of Charlie Kirk's death is we've seen doctors, lawyers, nurses, teachers, people in the military, people in positions of power, basically celebrating the fact that this man was murdered because he had a different opinion with them. And this isn't just the far left. This is like a large swath of average Democrat people, okay? Democrat voters, people who align with the left. And you'd think that when people say, oh, we need to take the temperature down, the media would follow suit, but they haven't done that. In fact, right now they're trying to spin this narrative that the assassin of Charlie Kirk was actually a member of Make America Great Again, which he was not. He came from a Republican family, but he was obviously radicalized as a leftist, and there's new news about him that we're going to talk about in a little bit, which further shows and proves that he is part of the radical left. But the idea here that they're trying to spin this narrative that somehow Charlie Kirk deserved it, that somehow everyone who's to the left of Karl Marx, or to the right of Karl Marx, I should say, is a Nazi and a bigot and a homophobe and every ist you can think of. What they're doing is they're trying to preserve this narrative that everyone who disagrees with them is deserving of murder and violence. And frankly, I've had enough of it. And I wanted to devote this show today to have a civilized discussion amongst like-minded people, not to try to convince anyone that, you know, we need to find common ground or what have you, but to bring to light the idea that we need to start fighting back. If you hear someone on the street make a false claim about Trump, don't just let it go. Call them out to their face. If you hear someone have like a complete lunatic idea of like, whether it be on immigration or transgender or children transitioning or like whatever the case may be, whatever crazy leftist belief you hear someone espouse, get in their face and call them out on it. Make them defend their position. Share with them the facts that you know to be true, because for too long our tolerance has been silence, and in that silence the bullies have taken that as weakness. And with Charlie Kirk's death, I feel it's important that we all stand up, whether or not like we agree on everything, but we need to start standing up and calling people out on their stupid beliefs, their dangerous beliefs, and their bad behavior. Now, that does not mean violence. That does not mean getting into fistfights or threatening their lives. That means basically just doing what we used to do in the 80s, which is basically just call someone stupid, stupid, and call them out on their bad behavior and make it known publicly that it's not okay that they espouse these terrible, horrible ideas and this dangerous, violent philosophy without repercussion. There's been a lot being said recently about these people who celebrated Charlie Kirk's death getting fired, and they're like, well, they're just exercising their freedom of speech. No, that's not what they were doing. Charlie Kirk was exercising his freedom of speech, and he was murdered for it. This is a freedom that everyone on the planet should enjoy, but especially in the United States, because it is the First Amendment for a reason. And as a content creator, as an artist, nothing is more important than freedom of speech. Because if you can't say what you truly feel, what you truly believe, without fear of repercussion, without fear that you're going to be doxxed or your family's going to be targeted or you yourself are going to take a bullet in the neck, then what are we even doing here? We can't freely express ideas. We can't freely create. We can't do anything without living in a constant state of fear. And we saw that happen under Democrat rule, not just under Barack Obama, but in the Trump era, the first Trump administration, where there was a concerted effort to censor the president of the United States, get him deplatformed, get his followers deplatformed, get them debanked. And then that went even further under the third Obama administration, which was actually the Biden administration. But Obama was secretly running things behind the scenes in freedom of speech. So here's the thing, guys. Enough's enough. We have to stand up united in a defensive front against these radical lunatics. And it's not a fringe thing, right? Like I see Cenk Uygur out there saying like, oh, it's a both sides thing. And you see these politicians say like, oh, there's violence on both sides or there's radicals on both sides. Show me the radical right winger who shoots up church schools, right? Who does school shootings for Catholic churches. Show me the right winger who has assassinated a left-wing political figure, right? This isn't coming from the extreme right, okay? That does exist. But all the violence is not only just coming from the extreme left, but from the mainstream left. And that's the issue here, is that it's no longer a question of meeting in the middle or having moderates on one side or the other. They're killing our moderates. They killed Charlie Kirk. They don't know what they've unleashed. And in today's show, I want to welcome my expert panel of nerds, and I want to talk to them honestly and have an open discussion about this. And I know that this is a dangerous thing because YouTube, in true censorship fashion, will label us, controversial, or will probably derank us in the algorithm, or like whatever the case may be. But frankly, if we don't start just pushing back against this, like we pushed back on COVID, like we pushed back on election fraud and all this other stuff, which is now being proven to be true, like we were the ones in the right. If we don't start doing this now and push back against this censorship and this dangerous mentality that it's okay to kill people that you disagree with, if we don't do that, we're all screwed. We have no country, and it's going to lead to a civil war. And I'm not just talking about like the Tim Pool, oh, we're in civil war. I'm talking about actual violent conflict, because you can't coexist with people who want you dead simply for the fact that you disagree with them. That is not what this country's founded on. And it starts today, and it starts here, because during this week, this was the week of 9/11. If you guys were alive during 9/11, you'll remember that left or right, no matter what you believe on the political spectrum, after that horrible tragedy happened, the country became united. We all put aside our differences and came together. So it is possible. But the problem is that the people who support violence, who support murder, right? Those people are the mainstream now on the left-hand side of the aisle. And they do not want to come together. They want us dead. They want us silenced. They want us living in fear. And I'm sick of it. I'm sick of being tolerant. I'm sick of allowing people to live and let live. We need to start pushing back, and we're going to start doing it right now, today. So, rant over. I want to welcome my fantastic panel of nerds, including Mexican Iron Man.
Mikey.
So, Dutch, I know that you and I have had some personal conversations this past week, and you've been nervous about today's show.
I've been dreading this show. I don't even know what to say, dude. I've been in a really bad headspace all week long. I'm not going to deny it. I'm not going to lie about it. And I still don't know quite where my head is at. I've been listening to a lot of videos. I've been taking in a lot of media. Probably not really a great idea to be on Twitter when I'm in that kind of a headspace. But I wanted to know what people were thinking. And all it's really done is really piss me off, because you get inundated with this nonsense about all these people that are happy about this, about Charlie being murdered. And it's sick. It's sickening. And I don't even, it's hard for me. It's hard for me on a normal day to stutter and stammer out my thoughts. So I'm not sure how active I'm going to be in the chat today, but I'm going to take it all in. I'm going to try to learn from you guys, and I'm going to try to focus my energy down a positive path. But here, right now, where my head is at, I don't care about people's free speech right now. I really don't. I don't give a shit. If I hear somebody talking crap about Charlie Kirk and if he deserved it, I just assume those people cease to exist. They have no reason to breathe the same oxygen I'm breathing. But that's the anger in my head. That's my gut reaction. And I know that isn't really where people's brains need to be, but that's the stage of this where I'm at right now. And for that, I don't know if I should apologize or what, but that's kind of how I'm feeling at the moment. And I kind of figured I would be past that stage right now, but I'm not. I'm angry. I'm angry inside. And that's why I was a little bit nervous about today's show. But I do feel like people need to start being held accountable for the things that they're saying out there. WW Pro had a video, I think it came out yesterday or the day before, where he said that this cancel culture, this is we need to convert it and turn it into an accountability culture. And I think that is the perfect way to put it. You know, you got these people out there like these idiots at the Office Depot, you know, saying posters for Charlie Vigil, a prayer vigil is political propaganda, and these fucking freaks with the hair and the nose rings and the tattoos and all this bullshit.
Fat gender ghouls.
Yeah, these
fired, by the way.
Good.
Yeah, thank God.
But you know, who the fuck are they to say no? This freaking frontline McDonald's fucking counter bullshit idiot, you know, thinking they can dictate policy over something like that. You know, that's the kind of stuff. Those are the kind of people that I am over. I'm done with these kind of people. You know, they've had too much power. They've had too many things to say. And not even really we, but the people in our families behind us that don't have YouTube channels, that don't get on social media, which is the majority of the country, the silent people, we've all been silent too long. You know, and that's the problem. We've let these people get entrenched in society. We've let this bullshit fester
Like
and ooze out into our world to where it's become a disease, and it needs to be cured. And I don't know if that's a pretty violent maybe way to say it. You know, we gotta cure the disease, but that's kind of where I'm at right now. I don't know, and I don't really know what we got to do it, to be perfectly honest with you. Maybe we have to start using some of their tactics. And I'm not saying we got to go murder people. That's not what I'm saying at all. But, you know, maybe we need to take to the streets, you know, in nonviolent protest, you know, they're doing in the UK right now.
Yeah,
there's a million people in the streets of London right now, you know, saying no more, enough. And I think maybe that's the kind of stuff that we need to start doing. But, you know, I'm going to let one of you guys talk before I start rambling and say something stupid. But
real quick,
that's where my brain is. So
before we move on, Matt, so this idea that it's free speech, that you can celebrate the murder of someone without consequence, like that's not free speech, right? That is displaying a type of vitriol and immorality and frankly violent tendency towards people that you disagree with, and that's not protected under freedom of speech.
No.
So this isn't a First Amendment issue where people are actually being held accountable and getting fired for their celebration of this horrible assassination. This is a question of, you know, accountability. Fuck around and find out. This is the first step in fixing this problem, is because the problem with the left is that they've never been held accountable for all of their lies and hypocrisy and bad behavior. Never. And I think I did a tweet on this a little while ago where it's like, two wrongs don't make a right, but mutually assured destruction sure does avoid destruction. And so if they know that there's consequences for what they're doing, and we push back just like they push back on us, then maybe some of these people will stop doing this bad behavior. Maybe they'll think twice about this stuff. And real quick, before I get to Brian, this is breaking news. Just came out a couple minutes ago. So basically, it's being reported that Tyler Robinson, the assassin of Charlie Kirk, who's now in FBI custody, was living with a transgender female that he considered his girlfriend.
Of course.
Boyfriend.
Shocker.
And so, like, recently there have been these, and this is a developing story. We don't know all the details, but multiple sources are confirming this, because apparently the FBI has been interviewing this transgender person. And so the motivation that Tyler Robinson apparently had for going after Charlie Kirk wasn't just the fact that he disagreed with his religion, disagreed with his beliefs, thought he was a fascist, but also because he was radicalized through this radical transgender ideology, which has been behind all the recent school shootings, right? So a lot of the violence from the left is coming from people who are indoctrinated into this trans ideology. And the left-wing media, left-wing pundits, the left-wing influencers, they're all trying really hard to fight back against this narrative because they know it's true. The stupidest thing I heard all week was that this guy was a MAGA supporter.
So stupid.
Who killed Charlie Kirk because he didn't agree with him enough. Right? This thing...
So retarded.
These people think that we're stupid.
It's called gaslighting.
And I think that the first battle to be fought in pushing back against this stuff is against the media. Like, something has to be done about MSNBC and CNN and the Daily Beast and all these wildly left-wing rags that push propaganda as opposed to actually reporting news. They need to be exposed, and they need to be challenged constantly, and they need to be dismantled. They need to have their broadcast licenses revoked because they're not a news media. They are a propaganda wing of the Democrat Party. And with that, I'm going to throw it to Brian, because Brian, I know you got a lot to say about this.
Yeah, of course. It's the gay malware. We've spoken about this before. You know, we need to bust out the Norton antivirus, the malware bytes, whatever you use. And we need to deal with this LGBT trans brain damaged ideology. The left was already a problem before. And now we've literally brain damaged them with hormones and bad ideas to the point where violence is their option. It's a silly, ridiculous, depraved, mental world right now. And the people that are gaslighting, like Tom's saying he's a right winger, are just ill-informed, insane people buying the media slop once again. Worse, the people that are trying to deflect from this dude, deflect from this tragedy, and saying it was the Jews is so unbelievably stupid in every way. I cannot fathom how insanely stupid you have to be to believe it was the Jews. Everything's the Jews. Everything's the Jews. Every person that says that has a Free Palestine hashtag in their stupid bio, or trans flags, or Ukrainian war flags. Just stop it. Just please stop it. My biggest thing about this, and you've already said a lot, is the reaction to this is so telling. Had there not been such a wide swath of people cheering this man's murder, cheering his assassination, people in places of power, and I'm not just talking about the Office Depot manager that handles the print department. Those weird fat gender queers, unfortunately, actually do have power over your daily life. Even the receptionist at the doctor's office, the teachers at your kid's school. I don't know how many teachers I have seen celebrating this murder. Teachers that are teaching our children. This is why the gay malware goes so far. They've instilled themselves like ticks into the very fabric of our next generation's institutions. And they're teaching the next generation this exact same malware. They can't reproduce, so they groom. This is what they've been doing for 20 years. This is not... anyone with a brain could have seen that this was the path we were heading down. We all hoped that we weren't going to get to this point, but here we are. And that we're seeing the left become more and more violent every day, and people celebrate it. People celebrated that weird guy Luigi. There's people that celebrated the black dude on the train recently, and now they're celebrating this. So now that they're celebrating violence, they're making it very clear. Their brain damaged, depraved brains are making it very clear that they want war. And the problem is they don't want war with us. No. They think they do, but they don't want it. Like they may have forgotten who built the West, who built the culture that they stand on, who built the technology and the infrastructure that they utilize every day. If they want war with us, they're gonna fucking lose. It's not even a contest. Right? Our ancestors and our values and our tolerance is what built the very fabric of society that they are allowed to freely operate in. They will lose this fight because their little hormone-ridden, shaky hands really can't handle what's going to come next. I think Matt's right. I think maybe we need to start pushing back against this. I always have, unfortunately. That's why I've been demonetized a couple times. I was telling Shane this morning, SMP might be the brain show starting a couple hours early. The problem is I've always felt the need to push back against untruths. I'm not the best spoken dude, the most well written guy, but I have a brain. I can look at someone and go, that is incorrect. That is not fair. What you're doing is not even. It's not the goalpost. You can't move the goalposts of your terms every 5 minutes to accommodate some new group from some new letter on the alphabet train. This is not fair. These things need to be pushed back on. When someone says lies, they need to be spoken out against. They need to be called out for their bullshit. When this weird genderqueer ideology pops up in your kid's school or in your friends' lives, when you see them being tolerant because they've been taught to have empathy their entire lives, and you see their brains start to rot from the inside out, from the echo chamber that they're being stuck in, you need to help them and speak out for them. Teach softer people how to be hard. Teach people that smile how to bare their teeth. Teach people how to be truth tellers. If we told the truth more often, then these lies wouldn't fester and become fucking cancer that kills people. We need to 100% stand up and tell the world, no. We're going to plant ourselves behind the river of truth like Captain America and say, fuck off. We are not moving any longer. The goalposts are not being moved. You will not infect our kids. You will not soften our brains. You will not get your way. We are not going to buy your bullshit. We're not going to buy your gender ideology. We're going to call out the stuff that doesn't make sense. We're going to call out the lies that you are speaking. We're not going to back up and go, well, it's their opinion. No, there is truth and there is opinion. And you know what? If your truth doesn't line up with the truth, you will then be spoken out against. We will make it. We will set the record straight. No longer will we stand by and let soft-brained people become brainwashed into your weird, genderqueer, depraved, debaucherous bullshit ideology. I'm done.
Brian, I want to just say that for too long, the left has conflated the right's kindness with weakness.
Mm-hmm.
And we're done being kind.
Yeah, we're over
being
it.
Tolerant. And with that, I want to go to a former Democrat.
I'm sorry, one thing. I think they forgot who we were. I think they forgot.
Oh, definitely.
But let me tell you something. We remember. And if you want us to remind you, I think we need to remind you who the hell we were.
Yeah.
And who we are. And the only reason that you exist is because of our tolerance. Our empathy and our kindness is the reason you're allowed to exist in your own fantasy world.
So I want to go to the former Democrat on the panel, who was a dyed-in-the-wool Democrat, by the way, but now he has seen the light. Mexican Iron Man. What's your take on all this stuff?
You referred to me incorrectly, sir. I'm not a former Democrat. I am a
Wrong
former hardcore leftist, progressive, radical Democrat.
Using the wrong mic, Mike.
See, I'm not a YouTuber.
not a YouTuber.
Hold on, what mic am I on?
You're on your
clearly
computer.
You're on your
That
headset.
one. Is that one
Mike.
better?
That's the right one.
There you go.
All right. Again, I'm not a Democrat. I'm a former leftist, radical, progressive, grassroots organizing Democrat. I don't know if I missed any description today. Yeah, not being dead serious. Not a joke. Not a joke. Knocked on my first Democrat doors for Dan McCorkadale in San Jose, handing out flyers when I was 12 years old.
Used to hang out with Michael Obama.
Michelle Obama worked for me for 4.5 years. I signed her paychecks. She worked for me every single day when I was working in Washington, D.C. as the head of public allies, and I was the chief operations officer for the whole country. She ran the Chicago office. I have raised tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, donated tens of thousands of dollars to Democrat candidates. I've helped many of them get elected in California and in Northern California. I attended and donated fundraisers in support of fill in the blank. I was in Oakland when Kamala Harris was a prosecutor. I was in San Francisco when Gavin was running. I supported his campaign.
Where are you now?
Now I'm in South Carolina in the Low Country.
In a bunker. Now it's in a bunker in South Carolina.
I don't know if I'm in a bunker. I'm on a golf course.
No, I didn't mean physically, Mike. I meant politically.
Sorry.
Don't give us details on where you are.
Yeah.
Go talk to yourself. What are you
On your
doing?
golf course.
So unlike everybody on the internet, I don't give a shit. My name's Michael Knoll, 8 Old Fort Way, Hilton Head Island, South Carolina. 499.
Don't do it, Mike.
I've done it a million times. My address is on unboxings of videos on my channel. I don't give a fuck, and I never have.
Mike is one of the most secure motherfuckers on the internet.
Yep. I don't give a shit. Now, where am I at now? I am so far right that I don't even know where. And a lot of it had to do with finding God again in my soul. Because for a good amount of time, especially after things took a southward turn, I went full-blown atheist for a while. I turned my back to Christ, turned my back to God, and just literally just was lost for years on end. And I blamed everybody in the world for all my problems, when in reality, the only one that any of us have to blame for anything going right or wrong in our lives is ourselves in the mirror.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's ultimately, on a side note, I think it's pretty funny that a lot of us pop culture people like to criticize, a lot of these pop culture producers for what they do wrong, and we don't look at what we do wrong in our lives. Matt started his opening monologue with exactly one of the things we've done wrong, which is to sit back, be empathetic, be patient, and let these morons do whatever they will. Now, when I found God again, my life changed, as of course it would. Started going back to mass, started praying the rosary. Literally, that's what I started doing on a daily basis.
Amen.
My life went from, I was living in my car in the summer of 2017. Now I'm going to broadcast something that very few people knew until this second. I was living in my car, damn near homeless, except for the car, in the summer of 2017.
Wow.
At my lowest point. Not the first time I'd been homeless, but it was. And I blamed everybody on the planet for my problems. Turned to God, found God, and my life started getting much better incrementally, and then much quickly. Now, with Charlie Kirk, I always laugh when I'm watching these people. I don't agree with everything Charlie Kirk says, but I don't support his. What did you not agree with what this guy said? I'm really curious. These people that are saying that they like threw that little qualifying thing. I don't agree with everything that he said. What do these people not agree with? What, that men should play in women's sports? They don't agree with that part? Do they not agree that life begins when it's conceived? Kind of basic biological fact. I mean, that this happened. I have not felt this much anger, rage, and passion since I was in downtown New York on 9/11.
Yeah. Same.
24 years ago. I didn't watch it on TV. I was down town when those towers fell. I remember the sights. I remember the sounds. And worst of all, to this day, I remember the smell of death, of burning, of concrete, of dust in the air. I got the last rental car out on the island, and I was one of the last 4 or 5 vehicles over the Washington Bridge before they shut it down. I barely got out, and so I could drive back home to Miami, Florida, and I drove all the way straight. I'll never forget the despair, the sorrow, and the pain I felt that day, which until this week had never been eclipsed. Yeah. I don't know Charlie Kirk. I watched a lot of his videos. But I do know this: he was a good man with a loving wife. He was a man of God, or tried to be, as we all try to be. And for him to get shot like that is the end, is the final. I blame 2 things, or maybe 3. I think number 1, I think I need to come to terms with Matt's right. We got to blame ourselves for being patient all this time and trying to be the better human being while these demons grew out of control.
Yeah,
I do believe the leftist, Marxist, progressive cockroaches that have infested this country, especially at the collegiate level, and have then grown more weeds in all these college campuses that have resulted in a harvest of more cockroaches that have now infested our homes, our neighborhoods, our businesses, our institutions, our government, everywhere. So I blame them. But I also blame former people like me, the quote classical liberal centrist motherfuckers, the people that sit back like I did for many a year and say that, oh, there's both sides. Oh, no more time for beta ass, pussy ass bitching. The classical liberal of the Democratic Party no longer exists. And if you're still playing mental masturbation in your head that you're a classical liberal, fuck you, wake the fuck up. Join us or go with the other fucking retards in your room, because you are in their room. They have taken advantage of the classical liberal do nothing classical liberals that like to sit back with their mental masturbation about why they take different political stances. We are in a holy war. We are in a culture war. We are in a moral war. We are in a war to protect families, and we are in a war to protect our children and our livelihoods. Now, being the only former hardcore Democrat on this panel, and I mean hardcore, there's no one on this panel that was as far leftist as I was. I've been to League of Revolutionary Struggle meetings. You know what those
I've only
are?
visited a couple bathhouses, bro. I think you got that. You take
You
the
know
cake
what League
here.
of Revolutionary Struggle meetings are? Those are the communists that used to be at the college campuses, where we would take over president's office, which I did back in the day. So I've been all the way over there. Now I'm all the way over here because I woke up and realized what the hell's going on. The number one thing that needs to happen, though, on top of everything else, is all of the white people in this country need to get over it. When you look at someone my shade or darker, stop feeling fucking guilt. When you look at someone my shade or darker, stop feeling sorry. When you look at someone my shade or darker, stop thinking that you need to give up your safety, your prosperity, your rights, your free speech, and your sense of entitlement to this great country which you built. Shockingly, Mexican Iron Man does not want his native indigenous lands back. Mexican Iron Man does not want to live in a teepee down by the fucking river. Salmon. I don't
In a
think
van
you
down by the
around,
river.
You guys don't want me in a loincloth running around hunting buffalo. Fuck no.
I'd pay to see that though.
So the number one
I
thing
think
that
I would
hope
pay to
that
see that.
happens
I actually do want
is one
that
of
for
the
you.
greatest leaders of our time, who happens to be a white guy. I hope that one of your great leaders now inspires the great people of this country to realize that multiculturalism has been a joke. It's a farce. And the only culture that matters is American culture.
Let's go.
I do want to say that, in my opening monologue, I mentioned that all the problems started when Barack Obama was elected in 2008.
I agree.
And what I mean by that is that he was directly responsible for embedding these far left radicals in every level of the government. He's a gay man. I don't care what anyone says. He's the reason that we have this trans ideology, that we have these like deep-seated, allowances for radical, like genderqueer methodology. And there's a lot of stuff that he put into place that when he left office, he was pulling the strings trying to undercut Trump's first term, but more so overturn the will of the American people who elected Trump because they were tired of Obama's terrible policies. We could see where this was going by the time 2016 rolled around, which is why we didn't vote for Hillary, right? But that wasn't good enough for Obama. And he's been pulling the strings ever since, trying to weaponize the intelligence agencies, weaponize the legal system against people who disagree with them. They tried everything they could, including trying to kill Trump to keep him from getting back into office so he could undo everything that Obama has spent the last 16 years doing.
Yeah, we glossed over that way too fucking quick, by the way.
We did, but I'm going to throw it to Odin because I want to hear his take on this. Odin, tell us what you're thinking.
Yeah, I mean, we all obviously process things, differently than others. I feel the same anger and rage, but I think that for me, it's also, I look at it as a Catholic, right, as a Christian, because that's what, Charlie Kirk was very, very vocal about his faith, and it was one of the most beautiful things I think about him was just how vocal he was. One of the most beautiful things about what his wife, and I know that probably everyone here saw his wife speak last night, and just one of those powerful witnesses that she gave also was the mentioning, right, of Christ as often as she did. And it just, again, reiterates just how important Christ was to Charlie Kirk's life, to his ministry. And it really was, right? It was almost in that religious sense a ministry. It wasn't just him going to debate college students. It was him trying to preach the gospel. And he did it in a way that just so many people, so many Christians, so many Christian leaders have not been able to do. And yet he was also able to do it in a way where people almost didn't even realize that they were being evangelized, that they were being preached to in that way, because he was able to speak to them on their level. He was able to speak to them in ways that they could actually understand. So I, obviously have that same anger, but at the same time, I also have to look at it from that lens of Christianity and the teachings of Christ as well. And so the main thing that I kind of gotten from all of this is that God can work. And this goes back especially to, St. Thomas Aquinas, who spoke about, what are the biggest arguments against God's existence? One of them is the problem of evil, and one of the responses that he gave, and something that I think is still very true, is that even in evil, God can work good. And I think what we're seeing right now is just how true that is, because there obviously is so much evil that has happened this past week. The reactions from so many on, and I would even say really the left, but really just the completely godless culture that unfortunately has just manifested and just rotted, in our country. Like, we've just been seeing all of these responses from this and how evil it is. But look at all I can really see, though, is how much good has come from this evil as well. And there is so much good that has come from it. I think that the amount of people that are speaking up now is a sign of that good. I think the amount of people that shouldn't have had these jobs in the first place are now losing these jobs. And to me, that's where I honestly have found the most good, is just so many people are now so motivated, and so many people are taking up no more just sitting by and just not doing anything. The amount of people that are like, no, these people have said these disgusting things. We're going to contact their place of work. We're going to expose them. And now these people I mentioned before, right, the Office Depot employees, they're gone. They were fired. Office Depot put a statement out last night about how those two are no longer employees, because it was not like the standard that they were saying was not true. So I think that we're seeing so many good things happen. I think that as things go on, especially as things go on, we're going to see even more good come from this terrible, terrible thing. You look at how much people have already been supporting not just TPUSA, which obviously is just Charlie Kirk. Like, his name is like synonymous with it, right? There is, in many ways, like, without Charlie Kirk, it's going to be a lot, right? You're going to need several people to even come close to, and you still won't, but to even come close to doing or fulfilling anything that he did, you're going to need several people. There's never going to be a one person that's going to be able to fill those shoes ever. But you're already starting to see people start to step up. You already see people who are trying to, preserve his legacy and to start to speak up for him, and people who previously were quiet on this, people who previously didn't say anything, are now starting to speak up. So I think this is just, to me, it just comes across as so different than any other time, right? Even going back to the Trump assassination attempt, right? Even going back then, because I think of it, because it wasn't successful and everything like that, I think that kept some people from going fully there. It motivated a lot of people, no doubt about it, but I think it still kept some people back for whatever reason. But I think this one, especially because of the fact that he died, the fact that the video, and again, it was just so disturbing. Like, I could only have watched it that one time. Like, the video of his death and how gruesome it was. The stories about how his children were present and were scared of the sound of the gunshot and just wanted to run to him. Like, all these things that just break you if you're a father, especially if you're a father to a daughter, that just break you as a person, as a man. You look at all of this, and yes, it's very easy. And again, I totally understand. It's a natural reaction to fall into that anger. But I'm also finding a lot of hope right now, too, because there's just so many people that are being activated by this, not to do the nonsense that this trans shooter, and I'm going to call him a trans shooter because it's exactly what he is. And this is an epidemic in our country that needs to be addressed. And I think that not only do you need to go after media, but I think also now you need to label whatever it is that you need to start investigating any organization that supports trans ideology. They need to be investigated to the fullest extent of the law. And I think that they need to start being exposed. And I think that again, in whatever legal way possible, to start to be taken down. Because that, to me, is obviously the source of a lot of this. The pharmaceutical industry has a big role to play in this as well. I think they need to start to be investigated. Studies need to start being done about the effects of these drugs that so many of these shooters have been on. And I think that all of these things, if they can all coincide together, if we're already seeing the positive direction, I think that so much has already happened, continue to go forward and to continue to go. Someone last night, there was one video I was watching that was explaining how there used to be like a law, or at least there was a law being proposed that would hold media companies accountable for their comments, and that it was done away with during a previous administration, and so that they should bring it back and rename it the Charlie Kirk Law or something like that. That was
the Smith-Mundt Act, and yes. Obama was the one who repealed that.
Yes. So, I mean, I think that would be, and again, momentum-wise, like, and again, I hate to, say it, but, the left said it first, right? Never let a tragedy or never let a terrible thing go to waste. But it's like, no, honestly, because things are now so, you have all this support. Now is the time for that Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, to actually prove that he has the cojones to actually be in that role. And he needs to start saying, nope, this law, we're putting it up. This law, we're putting it up. This law, we're putting it up.
Mike,
and just
pull
say,
your dick
I don't
up,
care.
bro. Be a man today, please.
Exactly. I don't care what any of you say about this. I don't care about whether you're going to say, oh, you're using the death. No. I don't care what you have to say. These are things that have to be passed. These are things that should be passed already. Let's get to work. Let's actually get this crap done. Stop the backroom deals, all that nonsense, and actually do what you were elected to do and actually start to make some changes happen, because, again, that's what
100%.
Charlie Kirk would have wanted to do, and that's exactly how you can actually make his legacy lifelong and how you can actually defend him. Again, it's one thing to be sad and angry. Totally makes sense for us to do that. But now it's time for us to be putting these things into action and not this godless, terrible nonsense violence that the left oftentimes does. But no, actually putting it into action. We're seeing it already with people losing their jobs because people are saying, no more. You can't. No, I'm sorry. Like, you cannot say the things that you're saying right now, wishing death on somebody else, celebrating someone's death, and not expect any consequences to not be there for you. We're already seeing that. Now we need to start seeing it on the legal side in every other area as well. Now is the time to start doing something.
Every time that we see that, every single time it needs to be shouted out loud.
Yep.
To the people that can do something about it.
Yes. People.
That's the problem.
People may not like Libs of TikTok, because I've heard a lot of criticisms of that account. But the one thing Libs of TikTok does very, very well is expose these people and get people motivated to start to, because again, within 30 minutes sometimes of her post, all of a sudden, oh, we just got word they got fired. And it's like,
I love Libs of TikTok.
Yeah.
I love how angry she makes people.
Yes.
No, you're totally right about our officials, man. In the words of Robert California, they're ineffectual, soft penis debutantes. That's what they do. Like they walk around, they do these backroom deals. They talk real big on camera when the cameras are running for their stupid viral clips and their TikToks. But the second there needs to be action, real things need to happen. When the second they actually need to do their job and produce policy and make changes that benefit the American people, and specifically traditional conservatives, they always back off. They go with this, well, we need to meet in the middle strategy. I used to like Ted Cruz until I realized 90% of what that guy does is just talk a big game. He never actually does shit. And most of these politicians are the same way. They talk real well on camera. They have great little clips and great little, we owned the libs today. No, you didn't. You going viral in a clip doesn't help anyone. It doesn't do anything. Go actually do your job as policymakers and stop being, ineffectual, privileged, effeminate, and soft penis debutantes.
And to Odin's point,
I'm the Lizard King.
I do think that there needs to be a concerted investigative effort into a lot of these dark NGO organizations. Like, the biggest thing is the Soros funded orgs that are secretly, funding these protests, funding Antifa. I know Trump came out recently and said that he's going to designate Antifa as a domestic terrorist organization via executive order. So there's a lot of stuff that is in the pipeline. But before we get to Tom, we found a meme that perfectly encapsulates what's happening right now. And I'm going to share this meme with you guys.
There it is.
The left has no idea what they just did.
Yep.
No idea.
They don't know. You want a street fight with me? You're going to be surprised.
It was Charlie Kirk himself.
You don't even know my real name. I'm the fucking Lizard King.
Because obviously a lot of videos of him have been trending, but there's this one series where he goes off because this guy's trying to make an argument about like violence and how it's on both sides and everything like that. And basically he brings up the point saying, who do you think owns the most guns in this country? Like, who do you think is like, it's the right? Okay. So why is it then that the ones that have the most guns tend to not be the ones that react? Like, why is that's what's happening right now? Like, and wouldn't you expect there to be like mass shootings or sorry, wouldn't you expect there to be like violence on the street amongst the people that you deem to be most violent because they have guns? Well, what happened after Trump got shot? Did you see a bunch of nope?
No, but look, dude, George Floyd, who was a scumbag, criminal, drug addict, violent, action member, when he was killed by accident by a cop who wasn't trained properly.
No,
there was the summer of love, dude. what was it, like 6 months of riots and trillions of dollars worth of damage? Come on, bro.
And don't forget, that was a drug overdose, man. Like that like the
Yeah, he died from a drug. Yeah, he didn't die because of the untrained cop. He died from the drug overdose. It was aggravated by the untrained cop, right? And there was a time where you couldn't even say that on social media without getting shadow banned. It's so silly how far we've allowed this to go. Yeah. Like, they riot in the streets over some, scumbag that died from drugs, while we sit here and get banned for even mentioning the fact that he had, horse tranquilizers and fentanyl in his system. It's insane, bro.
Also, notice how many cities have burned down since Charlie's murder.
None.
No, I know.
Yeah,
None.
But I want to get Tom's take on this. Tom.
That's a problem.
Well, and that's kind of the problem right now, is that there weren't no cities burnt down when the assassination on Trump was attempted or after Charlie Kirk, because unfortunately, I know a lot of people on the right are angry and they want to do something about it, but nothing's going to happen. Because unfortunately, a lot of people on the right are too conservative and they don't want to shake up the status quo, and they don't want, shit to go bad for their family or their, wives and kids and all that kind of business. So at the same time, I see this as a lot of puffery as far as like people puffing up their chest, but I don't see anything's going to change. I mean, yeah, it's cool that some people are finally losing their jobs for acting stupid, and it's kind of schadenfreude, but the time to act would have been the summer of love. To not let this shit get as far as it did is too late. 100%. You've already let the child who's thrown a tantrum have their way too many times. So guess what's going to happen if you guys push back? They're just going to throw another tantrum, and we're going to have another summer of love. And of course, everybody's just going to stand down because they don't want to shake up the status quo. It sucks, but it's reality. I'm glad to see some change. I hope it gets better. But look, I hate being the Debbie Downer in this whole thing, but the only hope we have for this is that Charlie Kirk was like a Malcolm X or a Martin Luther King, to where he wasn't a direct political figure in a sense that he held any sort of office. But they're going to twist it. They're going to move the goalpost as much as they can. We're finding out they already have. It took them less than 30 minutes to try and spin this on the right already. Nothing's going to fucking change as long as those people are in power. And that's the other problem, is too many people on the right are just like the people on the left.
100%.
So
soft penis. Soft penis. Too many soft penis politicians in office, dude.
We're also not going to go burn our neighborhoods down because
that's the problem.
We actually own the fucking buildings that we're burning down.
Right.
Unlike
I get it. I totally respect it and understand it. And that's why I'm not like, you guys got to get up off your ass and start shaking your fists. It's like, it doesn't matter now. It's too fucking late.
There's other ways.
There is other ways that things can be done. It's just going to be a slow, long process. Mm-hmm. And hopefully this is a turning point where people on the left, because we have seen some people finally see where like enough's enough. Like they're even saying like, it doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on. This is not what we're about, right? Like this is the kind of shit that happens in third world countries where you have dictatorships and all that kind of crap. I mean, it's not very often that this kind of thing happens in our system right here in America. And it is a shocking thing. And I just hope something happens that's positive and comes of it. But I'm not going to be surprised if things just stay the status quo the way they are
Tom,
now.
But it already isn't.
I disagree in the sense that it's too late to do anything, because I wanted to talk about this as well. This last week, not only was it the anniversary of 9/11, not only did Charlie Kirk get brutally murdered in front of thousands of people on the day before 9/11, but there was a lot of stuff leading up to this as well. Like I just want to mention Irina Zarutska, that poor girl who was brutally stabbed to death on a light rail by a guy who'd been in jail 14 times, suffered from mental illness. And the video of that, which a lot of people watched, was so heartbreaking. Like she was just this poor innocent girl, didn't do anything wrong, and this guy killed her because she was white and she was a woman, and he had the opportunity to do it, and no one helped her. No one on that bus helped her.
Oh, I agree with you, but
we're coming off of that, in addition to, this war on crime, that you have Democrats today saying like, oh, crime's not out of control. We only had 50 shooting deaths this weekend. That's just how big cities operate.
Historic
low. You have police departments who aren't reporting crimes because they don't want to look as bad as they actually are. And then you have an entire political party who supposedly represents half of the country, siding with criminals, siding with crime, refusing help to help the actual law-abiding citizens of their country. And it's this systemic acceptance of violence, and that, oh, this is just the way things are and this is how they're always going to be. That's the type of defeatist mindset of tolerance and apathy that we've entertained for far too long. It's not too late to start pushing
It
back
is in a
against
sense
this.
that, yes, it is, because now if you do anything, they're just going to say you're exactly what they said you were all this time. That's the
Good.
fucking problem. They have
Let
you
them say
exactly in
that.
the spot.
All right.
Look,
let them
I
say
agree
it
with you.
anyway.
I know everything you're saying. Here's the problem. I'm not the one you have to convince. The people you have to convince think that Charlie Kirk should have died
Tom,
for his thoughts.
We're beyond
That's the
trying
problem
to,
you have.
We're beyond convincing people.
That's what I'm
is
saying,
not
though.
about
Like, it doesn't
convincing
matter
Yeah,
now.
these people aren't fucking human, dude.
Right.
They're not human anymore. They're brain damaged to the point where they're no longer human. That's the problem. I cannot coexist with people
Nope.
that
I
are
don't want
okay
it.
with this.
And we don't want
I respect Tom's opinion, because he is taking the contrary view here, where nothing ever happens and nothing ever changes. But I think
In
that
6 months from now, we'll have the same conversation. I'm going to tell you that right now. Because guess what? I've been doing this for 5 years. We've been having the same fucking conversation for the last 5 years. Nothing fucking changes. Nothing.
You're wrong.
He's not wrong.
I'm absolutely 100% right. Tell me one thing that's fucking changed outside of the last few days. Guess what? Next week, people are going to be saying the same shit. They're not going to be losing their fucking jobs. It's not going
That's
to
true.
happen.
Yeah, Tom's right on
Things
that.
always can change, and things do change, which is why we're in the situation we are, because things were not like this 10.
Trump was almost
20,
killed over 6
25.
months ago. What has happened since then?
Nothing.
Absolutely fucking nothing.
Oh, I don't know. He got elected.
He got elected.
he got
and
elected. Yeah.
He's
That's
done
because
a
he
lot.
lived.
That's true. I mean, he did get elected,
that-
but like
that-
our
that is a shame.
mindsets didn't change.
We have the Gulf of America now. We've got narco terrorist organizations. We've got the Department of War. Like, there are changes
I'll tell
happening.
you what else is changing. What else changes is that there are an entire bunch of young people that are that are a lot younger than us, that are red pilled and based as fuck. And had Charlie Kirk not been alive to build that organization and build that movement, they wouldn't A, exist right now, and B, wouldn't be preparing themselves for the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. You may be full of despair, and you may be full of doubt, and you may be exhausted by where things are at right now. I assure you, things are different and things are changing, and they will change. And I assure you that 5 to 10 years from now, Tom, we will be sitting in a different place, and I will be showing you how things have changed, because they are changing. You may not see them or feel them. You may not believe in that. You may have lost hope, but absolutely things have changed in a variety of ways.
I don't blame Tom for his frustration, because historically the opposition party has been weak, just like just like Brian said, like
Soft penis,
no balls. They're afraid to stand up. They're afraid what the media has to say about them. But I think that in particular, what happened with Charlie Kirk is not to be a bad pun here, but a turning point. This is something that is, like, throughout history, there are these moments where catalysts happen that motivate people. Like, you talk about Pearl Harbor, you talk about the assassination of Prince Ferdinand that started World War I. You talk about all these things that, like 9/11, these things that happen that spur people into action to actually effect change. And I think Charlie Kirk's assassination is one of those things. And 6 months from now, Tom, if you are correct, I will gladly, exalt you as being correct. But I'm hoping and praying that 6 months from now, we're seeing the end of this stuff, because, make no mistake about it, things have changed with the defunding of these, like, radical NGOs, which have been secretly funding America's downfall. Like, cutting off that funding has made
That's
a big
true.
change. Huge change.
And a big part of that was, a big part of this whole thing was Elon buying Twitter, allowing there to be a platform in which people can have freer speech, and address bad ideas and address.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing, Brian. Right?
Yeah.
It wasn't just that he freed up Twitter. It's that because he did that, other platforms were forced to go in that direction because they were losing market share. But here's another thing as well, and it relates to the Charlie Kirk murder. Blue Sky and Reddit have been ground zero for some of the most hateful, toxic, bullshit and advocating for the deaths of people like Elon Musk and Donald Trump.
Blue
in
Sky's a
recent
cesspool.
times. Blue Sky is a cesspool because
It's,
it also
it's like that Star Wars, scum and villainy. That's all.
it also harbors pedophiles and people who want to normalize sex with children. Okay,
Yeah, it
I'm
does.
just gonna say that flat out. That's where all the pedophiles live right now.
Yeah,
online.
it's a giant echo chamber of pedophiles and trans malware.
But here's the thing, right? Parler, the right-leaning competitor to Twitter, was deplatformed off of the Google Store and the Apple Store for far less, a fraction of what is going on Blue Sky.
To
and
be
Reddit.
fair, there were some actual Nazis over there.
There are some actual Nazis on Blue Sky and Reddit.
That's my you're right. Yeah.
They're everywhere.
Yeah.
Like again,
And
you're gonna
Twitter.
find. I mean,
X.
you're gonna
You
find.
know,
at least
I'm older
one.
than all you got. Is anyone here older than 58?
I'm
Oh, you got me
63.
by 3.
No,
I'm
I'm being dead
63.
serious.
I have good skin regiment.
Uh-huh.
You're older than
No.
me, for real?
No, I'm not. No, man. I'm 40. I'm 42, dude.
All right, so I remember being a tiny wee little kid, and my mom telling me, this is before Reagan got elected, and my mom telling me that the United States probably wouldn't make it. This is on the heels of the oil crisis, the 70s. We got it for, everybody talks, I like these people saying there's violence on both sides. Nobody remembers or nobody talks about that the fact that in the 70s, there were leftist groups blowing some building up damn near weekly for about 6 years in a row.
That's true.
Go look it up, everybody.
Yeah, the violent, the majority of the violence has always been on the left side.
Crisis. There was all-time low confidence. Reagan gets elected and ushers in the 80s, which was the greatest era for pop culture, politics, and economic prosperity.
And cocaine.
Well, I don't know about that. I was 6 at the time, so
I mean, it's true though. Pop culture and cocaine and
parents should have
prosperity.
been giving you cococaine when you weren't born yet.
Speaking of cocaine, I want to talk
Just
about.
saying, hold off on the
Stephen
joke.
King.
Give me a second. Let me finish my thought. My point is that when America was at its absolute lowest, someone came into office and ushered in the 80s, and it was the greatest political, economic, and cultural phenomenon, and it endured for about a good 20-year run until things started to go sideways, like Matt mentions in 2008. But the 80s were fantastic. The 90s were fantastic. The early 2000s were pretty good up until the real estate market crashed. It was a golden age. It was amazing. So change can happen and change is possible. However, if we do as Cadis warns and do nothing, then change will never happen, and we are at our own peril.
Don't forget also that Charlie Kirk was friends with a lot of these people that are in positions of power to do something.
Yep.
And I think that dynamic is something that we've just not yet seen, is how close of friends he was with the Vice President of the United States,
Guys,
amongst others. And I think
Yeah,
that
that's
that
wild
is
truth.
something where there's something about like a close friend of yours being treated this way. That is something that you're not just going to forget in a
Yeah,
week
look at
or
what
2 weeks.
Cash. People were criticizing Cash because he was like, "I'm going to personally help with this investigation." Be like, why is the FBI director going out of his way to personally deal with an investigation? I'm like, because that was his friend. You fucking idiot. That's why.
he was
Because
taken
his
home.
friend was murdered,
He was
and he
taken
wants to
home
go.
on
And he wants to go.
Air
You
Force Two.
swing his dick around and make sure things gonna happen. Come on.
Well, that's a conflict of interest, but anyway, yeah.
Still, it was his friend. I would do it too.
Yep.
I mean, Dan Bongino was also part of that because he was good friends with Charlie Kirk. The president of the United States was good friends with Charlie Kirk, right?
Mhm.
Like this guy, not only was he like an inspiration to the youth of the right-wing movement, but he was, he helped get Trump reelected. He was a very big political power because he had a very strong voice. And conflict of interest, sure, but like when you look at what the left did with all the lawfare against Trump, literally creating laws so that they could prosecute him and try to ruin his life and try to keep him from getting reelected. Like, turnabout's fair play. And I don't think a friend wanting to find the killer of his friend even comes close to what the left has done to our intelligence services, our investigative service, our law enforcement services, our judicial system. Like how many judges have overstepped their bounds to try to stop what the public wants in terms of like immigration law, in terms of like violent crime, in terms of murder, in terms of like drug trafficking, sex trafficking, child trafficking, all this other stuff, which the left seems to not only tolerate, but encourage. Like I get frustrated with the FBI under Cash's leadership sometimes, but we have to remember, like, we're only 9 months into this administration. Like, they've just gotten started, and it feels like it's been 4 years, right? It feels like so much has happened because they hit the ground running. Like, in terms of political timeframes, we have seen so much happen in such a small amount of time.
It's true.
And so much is changing, and we're starting to see the ramifications, and the left is feeling it right away. But I do think that we need to be a lot more active and forceful in who we're going after and how we're going after them. And just knowing the way that Trump works, like he's taken this second term very close to his chest. So I'm sure there's a lot of stuff going on that we don't know about and we're not hearing about, that when they drop the hammer, it's going to hit these terrible people very, very hard. Especially when it comes to the midterms, because I think that like Trump's approval on how he handles crime is higher than anything else that they poll about him. And I think that in these cities where, like they see how he's handling DC and they see that, it's having a positive effect, and these Democrat mayors and governors are actively trying to prevent him from helping their cities and their states with the crime problem. I think that the more people who wake up to that are going to vote Republican in the midterms. And that's the big thing that I think the Democrats are counting on, is that the House is going to swing back in their favor.
That's not happening now.
But yeah, with I think one of the most salient tweets I saw on Twitter /X is they didn't kill Charlie Kirk. They just made 1 million more of him. Mm-hmm. And I feel like it's important. Yeah. Like even though I think that Tom has every right to believe nothing's going to change, I feel like we've been seeing change. And with Charlie Kirk's thing, we're going to see a lot more change a lot quicker than we normally would.
There's that. I think I have a point to help you with that. I think that might actually be dangerous too, though. Like as much as I want there to be good change, there is an entire generation that are coming up to be able to vote in high school that love Charlie Kirk. My kids are in middle school, and like they knew about Charlie Kirk's death. They didn't hear it from me. Like they like Charlie Kirk. There's people that this next base generation that grew up, learning about, ethics from a lot of their MAGA family members. This next generation that pushed against the pendulum of leftist and started going right wing, they got that way partly because of Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk reached a very young audience for a very long time. Well, that young audience is not yet ready to vote, but they are very much impassioned and angry about this. And if they thought MAGA was bad for us, as us old guys, just trying to get them to make good movies, the next generation is not going to have the tolerance that we've had. And there might be a reaction to this that pushes the right pendulum so far that the next version of MAGA is too extreme. I do believe that.
Well, Mike spoke of the greatest generation, the greatest decade, the 80s, and brought up cocaine. And in that respect, I want to bring up Stephen King, who really fucking stepped in it in the wake of Charlie Kirk's death. He's since deleted this tweet, but Dave Rubin basically captured it. And Stephen King made a very terrible tweet where he basically says that Charlie Kirk advocated stoning gays to death. And he got such a huge clapback on this that he had to delete the tweet and apologize for it. And he's been going around saying like, oh, I apologize. But he didn't really apologize, right? He said he was sorry for being factually incorrect about Charlie Kirk, but that didn't apologize for the sentiment of him believing Charlie Kirk was evil, of him believing Charlie Kirk was deserving of death because he disagreed with him, and of his general contempt for everyone who disagrees with him. I've always thought Stephen King was a garbage human being, but I never really publicly talked about it because I was like, okay, well, people like his books or like whatever. But the thing is, we have to stop using this term separate the art from the artist, right? No longer should we excuse bad behavior by an artist just because you like his work. or her work or whatever the case may be. We need to send a clear message that this bad behavior, especially coming from the elitist in Hollywood, and that's what Stephen King is. He's an elitist. He's a rich snob. He looks down on all the people who have gotten him to where he is today. We need to start punishing them for their bad behavior. We need to let them know what is acceptable and what isn't. And Stephen King is on the forefront of that. He always has been. And this idea that he apologized and therefore he gets a free pass by all these people, it's like, well, if we don't accept their apologies, they're just going to stop apologizing. Hey, the apologies aren't sincere. He hasn't changed a single one of his beliefs. He hasn't changed how he feels about Charlie Kirk or Charlie Kirk's brutal murder. Okay, this is a guy who doesn't care about that. He just cares about not getting sued because he made a very provable libelous statement about this guy. That's the only reason he apologized.
Because he can lose. He can lose his movie deal. He can lose his next job.
Yeah, and let me show you guys. Let me show you guys a counterpoint to this. Okay, Billy D. Williams, right? Lando Calrissian himself came out with this statement.
Are we sure this is real? Because I heard that he got his account hacked, evidently.
Well, then the person who hacked the account is truly worthy of this praise. Charlie Kirk's wife is in this image you see. While some of you mock and celebrate his death, she's experiencing a level of pain most of us could never imagine. She just lost her husband. Their children just lost their father. A family has been shattered. Charlie wasn't just a public figure. He was a man with a wife who loved him and kids who needed him. No matter your politics, no matter your disagreements, celebrating someone's death is pure evil. Disagree with his ideas if you want, but don't forget he was still a human being, a husband, a father, a friend. If you're cheering right now, you're not exposing Charlie. You're exposing your own lack of humanity. Now compare that to what Stephen King put out.
Yeah.
It's night and day. And I want to
Lando.
I want to welcome Culture Casino to the show.
Culture.
Hey, Culture.
Hey,
speaking of right-wing nut jobs.
That's right. Sorry I'm so late. I'm not wearing my MAGA hat, but I started the day with the rebellion, so I thought that was sufficient.
Well, how crazy is it, Culture, that if you were to go out in public wearing your MAGA hat, half the country feels it's okay for you to be murdered?
Wow. Yeah, I think it's more like 47%, but I don't feel real happy about it. I think everybody, and this was the whole point of Charlie's was, to be able to reasonably disagree and do so respectfully and not have it be about the violence that is apparently being greenlit by, as I mentioned before, a pretty decent chunk of Americans, 42 to 47%, depending upon the study. And here's the hat right here. If I went out and wore this hat, Matt, you're right. I might have to fear. Yeah. And especially when people, figure out my politics, which I think they do. They figure it out pretty quick with this hat. So it's something. Look, yesterday with the memorial service and everything else that was held. I would say that the people of Phoenix lost a cultural center, and I would say the country did as well. But I don't think anybody should fear for their politics or for their outspokenness about their politics, especially if they do so with such care and respect.
Well, here's the problem, though, right? Yeah. So when you have one side who is systematically vilifying the other side, if you disagree with them, they call you a Nazi, they call you a fascist, they call you a bigot, they call you a transphobe, a homophobe, a misogynist. Like at a certain point, it becomes okay to commit violence against those people because they are evil, they are the enemy, and that's the normalization of violence. So that when you're out there exercising your freedom of speech for just having a difference of opinion, you're opening yourself up to dying, to being killed, to being murdered. And then other people being like, oh, that's okay because I disagree with them. That's what the left is pushing right now. That's why it's so important that we evoke change, that we force change, that we stand up and stop being quote unquote tolerant and accepting and trying to meet people in the middle ground. That time is over. It's been over for a long time. We just weren't aware of it. But if we have any hope to stop this violence, to get rid of this mind virus that has infected 47% of this country, and a great portion of the world, we need to really start pushing back.
Yeah.
No longer coddling these left lunatics. People like Stephen King, nobody should buy his books. Nobody should go see his movies. Nobody should go watch his TV shows. And they should be very public as to why they're choosing not to see this stuff. Same thing with celebrities like Mark Ruffalo. Same thing with Rachel Zegler. Same thing with Mark Hamill. Same thing with any of these leftist lunatics who never face any consequences for their hateful, spiteful rhetoric and their support of violence against people who just are committing the crime of disagreeing with them, of having a different political mindset. We spent the last, 16 years, ever since Obama got into office and to the end of the Biden administration, which is actually the third Obama term, being debanked, being targeted, being lawfared. Like, you had a guy on a subway who saved people's lives by choking out a violent, psychotic, homeless person. And he was prosecuted for that. And then you saw the ramifications of that with this poor Ukrainian refugee who shouldn't have to fear for her life. She gets stabbed to death by a guy on a light rail, and there's no one there who wants to help her because they're afraid of getting prosecuted, just like this guy in New York was. He was punished for protecting people. And this idea that that Trump is the one who defunded the police, that was put out by Spritzker, who's the governor of Illinois.
Yeah.
Like, this idea that Trump, who's been in office for like all of 9 months, is the one who defunded the police, when Chicago and his state have been suffering from a crime wave for like the past 50 years under Democrat rule. Like it just boggles the mind that they think that they can go on TV and lie to everyone and never get called out on it by the people who are supposed to be the fifth pillar of America, the people who are supposed to hold truth to power and all this other stuff. They just let them lie with reckless abandon. And when we get on YouTube and we expose those lies, we get demonetized, we get deranked, we get shadow banned, we get pushed under, we get alerts put on our recommendations to say be careful because this might trigger you, or whatever the case may be. We need a change in how word gets out there. And that's one of the reasons why X is so important, because under Elon's thing, it often starts with the truth starts there and then gets out to all these different media places and gets spread, and people become aware of it. And that's why it's so important. And that's why I wanted to do this show today, because I feel like we need to make it clear that we've had enough. This is dangerous. It's time to start fighting back. And it doesn't have to be violent. It just has to be consistent.
Yeah. I think part of that consistency is the mechanisms with which you report the people who are definitely experience some mental challenges. Suggestions have been made by people like Asmund Gold. Zach made a suggestion. You should notify the HR departments for, these companies that these people represent, and that's one way to deal with it. A lot of people are trying to allude to the fact that that's cancel culture. I don't think that's anything close to cancel culture.
No, yeah. I know people are saying tongue in cheek, like, I don't feel safe around these people. No, I actually don't. Let me tell you why I don't feel safe. I don't feel like my kids are in the right hands of people with those kind of views.
Not
and
where
considering
you live.
that, especially where I live, and considering a lot of these are like teachers and actual people that work in faculties at schools, I don't want them to have their jobs. I don't feel like I'm safe because I don't feel like I can always watch out for my family. Do I feel like I'm safe? No. Someone comes at me, I'm going to put them down. But my wife and my kids and my family and people in my family that are a little more impressionable, I don't feel like they are safe around these people with these bad ideas. So when I say I need this person not to work there anymore because I don't feel safe around them, that's what I'm talking about. I legitimately don't, because my kids have to interact with them. My wife has to interact with them. I don't want to interact with people with this ghoulish mindset that have literally foregone their humanity to praise the death of a human being that they disagreed with. And you know what's funny? Most of these people probably didn't even watch Charlie. They disagree with them because they've been told to disagree with them by other people in their stupid echo chamber, in their retarded, insane echo chambers.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these people who come out and say, "Oh, Charlie Kirk is a fascist. He's a bigot. He's a homophobe. He hates women." Like all these people have never seen Charlie interact with other human beings. They've never
Or
seen his
talk to him.
videos. They've never seen his content. Like, he was one of the most respectful, like, people willing to reach out to the other side and have like a free exchange of ideas. And you killed him for that. And now you're going to get the people who are standing behind him. And those aren't the people who are the moderates. Those aren't the people who are respectful. He was the one keeping them at bay because he was at the forefront of trying to engage with people until we realized that they don't want to engage. They just want to kill us. They want us gone.
So in the case of Stephen King, even though he keeps apologizing, what's your reaction to that?
I've told you, like, he's a garbage human being. He's not apologizing for the sentiment. No. He's apologizing because he was factually inaccurate, and he opened himself up to a very strong libelous lawsuit if he didn't apologize and delete that tweet. But the thing is that Stephen King has a long history of demonizing people on the opposite end of his political spectrum. And he's a elitist snob. His brain has been damaged by years and years of cocaine abuse. He is a terrible human being. Yeah. He is an evil human being. He is a perverted human being. I don't think, like, I've never liked his work personally, but that's just a personal judgment. But the fact that he actually bothered to issue an apology shows that he's scared, because he finally got pushed back against. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, yeah, there are people who drop into his like responses and like, give him like bad replies and stuff like that. But now I think that if we were like, hey, let's boycott Stephen King because, he's an evil person, and he actually starts seeing his book sales go down, his, TV deals and movie deals go away. I think if we actually affect and hurt him directly through his pocketbook and through his reputation, because he is an elitist celebrity snob, I think that when that happens, he's going to think twice about spewing his nonsense. Yeah. Because, like it or not, there are Stephen King fans out there who, when he says something, they'll be like, oh, I like Stephen King, therefore he must be correct.
Yeah. And we are seeing that type of change already happen. Again, I know that it seems like, this is just yet another one of those situations where it sounds like, things are happening. But as I've mentioned before, right, I have never seen this level of people losing their jobs to this degree because of like actually having now to face the consequences for their words and for their actions. And so I do think we're already seeing something different that we have not seen to this level and to this degree before. And that, again, is something that I find, again, a lot of solace in, as far as like, again, God can work good even out of the evil. And the other thing, too, is we have to remind ourselves, because I know that some people saying, it's like, well, how is it that this is any different? Well, the big difference between us and those who are on the proverbial left, or again, I just say the godless side, is that they demonize people and call them fascist, racist, things that merit in people's minds historically a violent response. Whereas I think the harshest thing you typically hear from us, at least from someone like me, is that they are mentally ill, that they need help. And it's like, that's a very big thing, right? You're not going to go out of your way, typically, right, to take out somebody because of their mental illness. In fact, it makes you actually sorry for that person, right? And again, it makes you feel like, again, some sense of empathy for that person. I know for a lot of people, maybe that sense of empathy is gone to a certain degree. But again, it's very different. That's why you don't see as much violence on one side versus the other, because when you're painting someone as being mentally ill, there's automatically a part of that you're like, okay, either don't want to have anything to do with you at all, or I want to, like, I have some type of empathy for you, right? It's like going to be one of those two things. Whereas on the other side, where it's like you're labeling people racist, fascist, etc., that they are a danger to our democracy. How often do we hear that crazy expression? Okay, that is meriting, and that is asking for someone who is already mentally ill to do something. And that's exactly what happened here with Charlie Kirk, someone who clearly is again, I think that especially when you look back to the Catholic school shooting at the Mass, there's so many demonic elements to this as well that just also is something that unfortunately gets overlooked too.
And as a counterpoint to Stephen King, like Chris Pratt, as soon as he heard about Charlie getting shot, he posted this. He said, praying for Charlie Kirk right now, for his wife and young children, for our country. We need God's grace. God help us. And the left is trying to get him canceled because of this. They're trying to get him removed from Marvel permanently. They're trying to get his Amazon shows canceled, all because he wanted Charlie Kirk to live. That was his crime. And when you compare Chris Pratt to Stephen King, there is no comparison. Mm-hmm. One of them is a good, decent human being. The other person is garbage. and I would extend that to Mark Hamill. I would extend that to Rachel Zegler. I would extend that to Brie Larson. I would extend that to Mark Ruffalo. I would extend that to every elitist snob celebrity who feels like their socialist ideology
most
is
of the
superior.
cast of Star Trek.
Yeah, like Alex Kurtzman, who basically said like Klingons are now MAGA, allegories, like all this stupid bullshit stuff.
Retard alert.
These people never get pushed back in their own little like celebrity bubble out there in Hollywood. But if they do start getting pushed back, if they do start seeing stuff like Mark Ruffalo's got a new show coming out on HBO, guess who's not going to watch that? Right?
No interest.
Yeah. So like these people need to start paying a consequence for their bad behavior. That's the only thing that's going to affect change, really, is if they actually start suffering from consequences. Like already there was that Belfast Books that decided to stop carrying Stephen King's novels on their website. I'm like,
DC.
Hey, DC Comics. Like there has been fallout from this thing, but I think it needs to be focused specifically on celebrities and media personalities. Like the stuff Chris Cuomo has been putting out there, disgusting. The stuff that Don Lemon has been putting out there, disgusting. The stuff that MSNBC and CNN has been putting out there, disgusting. Mm-hmm. They're all trying to protect. Number one, they're trying to change the narrative, right? Saying that whoever killed Charlie Kirk was actually like a right winger, right? Ridiculous,
retarded.
But in addition to that, they still keep vilifying people like us, people who they philosophically disagree with, in the hopes that more people get murdered. They're trying to justify it. They're propping up the violence that came with the George Floyd death and trying to say that that's the proper response, as opposed to the prayer vigils and stuff like that. Like you actually have a political party that represents half the country come out and say, don't give us thoughts and prayers. Those things are empty. Those things are stupid. We don't believe in those things. They don't help anyone. Thoughts and prayers aren't necessarily for the victims. They're for the people who don't know what else to do. They're for the people who turn to a higher power and ask for guidance and help, right? And to have a political party that vilifies that denigrates that says that doesn't help, that just goes to show you how godless and vile and unhuman these people are, that they would rather protect criminals than civilians, that they would rather side with illegal immigrants, foreign nationals, than the people who actually live and built this country. Go ahead, Mike.
Point of clarification, the correct term is illegal migrant third world invaders. Thank you.
There you go. I like that.
Yeah. Well, and again, I'm grateful that other countries are turning their back on this kind of ideological and invasion of their countries, these ideological beliefs. Well, did you see the UK today? 3 million people in London.
Up with some flags. That's not turning their back. They got a long way to fucking go.
Look.
It's
an indication, of a beginning of something. I'm going to celebrate that and encourage more of it.
I haven't seen that happen on our city streets yet.
I want to point out something, build on what Kate has said. The leftist progressive retards and the classical liberal do nothing idiots that are aid and abet them. They're so often they're killing people that like we're on to the next one. There's a train there. What about the kids praying the other day? It's happening so fucking often, and I'm getting sick and tired of these middle of the road centrists that are sitting here and they're watching the crazy wackos on the left keep doing this shit, and they're not calling their own shit in. Well, if you don't take care of your own dirty laundry, we will start to take care of all of your fucking motherfuckers at the same time. All of you. Since you want to sit down and sit there in the same bucket as these motherfucking retards that are fucking up this country, well, pretty soon, pretty quick, people like me are going to get real fucking tired. And let me tell you this, I'm not a big fan of the libertarian cause. I got there's a lot of stuff I like, a lot of stuff I don't like. I just wish, I wish actually everyone was a libertarian, but that's another story for another day. The point is we're not. We're Democrats, Republicans, and libertarians don't get their fair shake. That's another story for another day. But
true.
But I saw this amazing video. Did anybody else see Dave's video the other day?
Dave Smith?
Yeah, Dave Smith. Mm-hmm. Can we play that here or no?
If I can find it. Do you have a link?
Oh, did you see it?
I did.
In general, yeah.
Well, I mean, look, the problem is that we are catching the media in lies all the time now. Day before yesterday was an explicit lie from TMZ because they had members during coverage, members of their staff laughing and celebrating Charlie's assassination, political assassination, and they came out and tried to lie about what they were reacting to, and it was one of us, a citizen that came out and exposed their lies for what they were. I think her name was Peggy Bolton. Her clip on X was something that I was proud to share with my audience. I'm sharing the fact that we are making an impact on these people and maybe trying to reawaken their humanity, exposing them for what they are. If they're willing to expose themselves publicly through their violent rhetoric and their reactions, we should be doing that. We should be doing that for PMSNBC and everything else. I mean, if you're PMSNBC, you're thrilled you got rid of Joy Reid based on the crap she said in the last couple of days. And you have networks realizing that this is going to affect the culture's perception of what they present. Comcast is sent out a memo company wide because of what Dowd said. I'm kind of bummed out they didn't take out Tur at the same time, but that may be coming.
But culture, to your point, so
there she is.
Girl,
yeah.
Like her ability to basically clock these time codes and sync up when the cheers happen compared to when Charlie was declared dead and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That was next level citizen journalism right there, because they basically called TMZ out on the lie that their staff was cheering for.
They were watching a car chase, guys. It's okay.
Yeah.
But that's what Charlie Kirk and his momentum has done, right? He's created, and his death has done even more so to create more people who are politically active, more people that are, doing the type of citizen journalism in this way too. Again, I think the motivation is there. And again, to Tom's point from earlier, just a little bit, the problem is that we can't let this go out. We can't let the momentum stop. It's not looking like it is. And again, I'm looking online and I'm seeing it's the same as it was just a few days ago. So again, we will see what happens in the next week or two, right? Time will tell. But as of right now, I have a lot of high hopes that this will continue to push forward.
But here's another interesting thing, talking about the momentum of this. So Cenk Uygur, the host of the Young Turks on YouTube, the biggest kind of YouTube left-leaning news organization out there. So he's been trying really hard to come out as a moderate voice on this, where he's I respected Charlie, blah, blah, blah. There's extremists on both sides, blah, blah, blah. But this guy, first of all, he platformed his nephew, who's the biggest terrorist / violence supporter on the internet, Hassan Piker.
He's literally a terrorist.
Goes on every day and supports killing people, supports violence, supports political violence, supports genocide, supports anti-Semitism, supports all this stuff. This is who Cenk's nephew is, and this is who I think that he learned a lot of stuff from his uncle. But in addition to that, Dave Rubin called him out spectacularly on Piers Morgan, and Dave Rubin used to be on the Young Turks, right? But he basically went through current YouTube titles for Cenk's videos, and they're all about Nazis and fascists and attacking Trump and attacking conservatives and all this other stuff. And so he's like, Cenk, how can you want to turn down the rhetoric when all of your YouTube videos are about labeling your opposition as Nazis and fascists and all this other stuff? And Cenk blew up at him, which just goes to show you how he really feels about this stuff. Like he went after Dave Rubin, and Dave Rubin's a gay man, so therefore, what if words are violence? Cenk just committed multiple hate crimes over there. but this idea, and then there's been a post circulating with Hassan, where basically they did a supercut of all the times that he called for violence on his live stream. I think this is Tectone who basically put this together, but it's very clear that Hassan Piker advocates for violent reprisal against people who disagree with him, and he also lies like no one's business. Everything that comes out of this guy's mouth is a lie or deception, and this is the type of thing that they're doing, right? Where
does he live in the United States?
He does, yes. He's a citizen.
Yeah, I think everyone should again do everything you can. I think that guy should be arrested, point blank.
Definitely should be arrested, or at
100%.
least deplatformed, because he's violated every terms of service for every social media platform out there.
Problem is, Twitch agrees with him, dude.
But
that's why he
look
needs to be arrested.
look at this. So like, Asmongold, who's one of like the most moderate voices you could ever want to have on YouTube. This is a guy who sits in his fucking attic for like 8 hours a day. Occasionally he plays WoW, but he just mostly just reacts to videos and shares his opinion.
Dude, I've fallen in love with that cockroach guy, man.
Reddit is calling for his death because he dares disagree with them. This moderate voice, he's like Charlie Kirk 2.0 type thing, except he doesn't like engage with people.
Except he doesn't shower.
Yeah, and he doesn't shower and he doesn't clean or like whatever. Yeah, he lives in a roach motel essentially. But like, but this is the next guy in the hit list. Him, Elon Musk, Donald Trump. They're just naming like J.K. Rowling for being against like men being in women's spaces and stuff like that. These are the people that the normies are rooting for someone to kill. The normies on the left. That's
generally called terrorism, but yeah,
it's terrorism. That's why Hassan Piker needs to go, man. He is a terrorist. Like I watched one of his streams and I was like, how is he allowed to say any of this? I don't get it. It's because Twitch agrees with him, dude. Because the brain dead gay malware employees at Twitch agree with him. That's that simple.
Yeah, we're the ones that are worried about getting deplatformed because we have opinions.
Yeah, we have such mild opinions in comparison to Hassan Piker, bro.
Yeah, ridiculous.
Okay, so Mike just sent me the link to
Dave Smith,
the Dave Smith thing, but I need to re-add it with audio so people can hear this.
Yeah. And also, like,
heard this now.
I've heard some people mention, like, okay, well, Hassan, I don't know. Again, I don't know if he is an American citizen. If he is, he should be arrested. If he's not, he should be deported.
He is an American citizen. Like his family was originally from Turkey, but they immigrated when he was like a very young child.
He should be arrested.
He should be. But okay, so here's Dave Smith and what Dave Smith had to say about Charlie Kirk's death.
Charlie Kirk was the moderate. He was the fucking reasonable guy in the room, you dummy. He wasn't a far-right activist. Are you kidding me? You have any idea what's out there? You think that was like the radical position? Charlie Kirk was the most moderate human being. He was a plumb line Republican. A plumb line Republican, as everybody who knows anything about anything knows, is 1 centimeter to the right of a plumb line Democrat. He was right just in the middle. He supported Israel like the Democrats and Republicans do. He was more, like a little bit more on the side of restrictive immigration policy. That was his big radical policy, was he was with 80% of the American people on immigration. It's not. So you sit there and what do you think? You think this is a victory? Like for you? You think, oh, you took out a... Let me think this through here with all of my wisdom. I want to win a culture war. So what I did was I violently murdered the most high-profile moderate voice on the other side. Hey, geniuses, but summon all your wisdom together and tell me, do you think that is likely to calm things down, or might that lead to more radicalization? And what 100%. The fuck these dumbass fucking lefties celebrating? Like, what exactly are you trying to start here, you fucking pussies? Like, Jesus Christ, man. I mean, go live your fucking weird lives and with your fucking pink hair and your 70 genders or whatever. But don't say you're ready for a fucking fight. Like, what are you doing? Do you know? It's like such a weird dynamic they have here, right? Where like, broadly speaking in the country, there's like this culture war, right? And like the left wingers are almost always the ones who are out on the streets. They're the ones protesting. I mean, yeah, you could point to January 6th, but it's like the one exception. It's the exception that proves the rule. But who is out in, the Ferguson, Missouri, protests and riots, or the Trayvon Martin protests and riots, or the George Floyd protests and riots, or there's the Pussy March, or there's the immigration march, or there's the campus activism over the last, 15 years. It's like the leftists take to the street. They're the first ones to go, we're going to go out here and do a thing. It's much harder to get the right wingers out on the streets because they have families and jobs and church to go to. But the right wing is so much tougher So much tougher. Like if this ever came down to a fight, the fight is right wingers mowing down gender studies majors. Like, what are we fucking talking
It's so
about
true.
here? You ever see one of those videos where like Antifa would actually get into a fight? And then you'd realize that like it's actually really funny. I mean, like it was kind of jarring and a little weird, but like there'd be all these videos where there'd be like, you know, the black bloc guys, like 7 kids in hoodies with like one of them's got a pipe, and you know they got the masks on, so you're almost like, oh, these are like kind of tough looking guys, and then one of them swings like the girliest swing, completely misses, and then a man punches him in the face, and you hear the guy go, "Hey." You're not tough. You're just like role playing. Like, what do you guys think? You're trying to provoke this other side who will annihilate you. And there are real deal militias in this country. There are real deal gun enthusiasts in this country. You do not want to pop shit off with them.
So good.
That was
Well
By the way,
said.
he's always done that, man. Like, I know those people that don't like him for a variety of reasons, right? But I love Dave Smith. I watch his videos all the time because he's
I do
always
too.
on
I
point.
think he's freaking brilliant.
Yeah. He's also the most prominent Jew that's actually critical of Israel, which is also a very refreshing thing to see.
You know what else is brilliant, Mike, is super chats. We got a couple we want to get to. First of all,
There we
Major
go.
Chai Chai, who gifted 5 Salty Nerd podcast memberships. Thank you so much, Major Chai Chai. Rec Thoughts for $5. Charlie Kirk was the off-ramp. They took out the jackhammer, and they need to pray we never feel we have to pick it up. We don't want to go there. I agree. We got Novus Tullius for $19.99. I see this moment like a modern-day Blade Runner Voight Kampf test. If there was a magic button that you could press to bring Charlie Kirk back to life, and you wouldn't choose to press it, I fear for your soul. We got John Yulden, Brian's boyfriend, for £9.99. No comment today. I just wanted to send him some funds to support the show, which
Thanks,
I
man.
believe is John going to be on the Brain Show today, Brian?
He's gonna be on the Brain Show. Yep.
Awesome. See you on the Brain Show, John. John Maynor for $9.99. Even though I have several issues with Governor Cox, my governor, I appreciate that in his press conference that violence is violence and that speech isn't violence. And that's another thing, is that these people who equate speech to violence, they're trying to basically hide the mechanism by which they justify the violence. So if you say something that you don't like, that they don't like, you're committing violence, and therefore violence against you is justified. So fuck that.
Yeah.
John Maynor again for $1.99. We love you, MIM, but you are a YouTuber, Mexican Iron Man.
What?
You are a YouTuber.
You are.
We love
What?
you. You are.
Who,
Yeah.
who just said I was on this panel?
I
Everyone.
will say this. Hey, Mike, how many subscribers do you have on your YouTube
All right,
channel?
we don't care about your opinion. Odin, I am not a YouTuber, right?
You are. You are a YouTuber.
All right. Bob Dorsey, the great Bob Dorsey, just gifted 10 Salty Nerd podcast memberships. Thank you, Bob Dorsey.
Sorry, I
We
broke your
got
heart.
Jay Frazier, 360 for 20 pounds. Hail, Salty Nerds. With Kirk's death, I worry about future meetups. The same propaganda slop that fuels the left fuels our deranged critics, Disney shills, rewriting Ripley, etc. As your president said, fight, fight, fight. I was watching FNT from yesterday, and it's a little known live stream. I know that we're way bigger than they are, but we're friends with like Gary and the Geeks and Gamers crowd and stuff like that, and they've always been very open, and people have called them Nazis and fascists and evil people and stuff like that, but they've always kind of treated it as a joke. I am worried that some lunatic is going to try to kill Gary or kill Jeremy or something like that, because it's not a joke anymore.
No.
Like these labels are putting a target on their backs, and it's scary. But hopefully they stay safe and they stay smart, and someone gets them some security or
Travel
they
in
get-
packs, man. Travel in packs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Red Thoughts for $10. My oldest son came to me after Charlie's death. He wants to make a life change. He wants me to hold him accountable. He's going back to church now. He's 25 years old.
Nice.
Amen.
And Bucky Cat for $9.99. Thune just dropped on the Dems, reducing Trump's nominee approvals from 60 to 51. The Dem freakout has already started. Yeah, that was the nuclear option, unfortunately, but they were holding. Like he could have avoided this by just allowing recess appointments. So I don't know,
I have no idea what you're talking about. Educate me. What?
Thune's a douche, and he contributed to the problem.
Well, Senator Thune is the majority leader in the Senate.
Yeah, the rhino asshole. Got it. Okay, what did he do?
So instead of allowing a recess of the Senate so that Trump could legally do recess appointments, he kept the Senate in session over the break. And now he went with the nuclear option, where instead of having a 60 majority, supermajority to approve Trump's nominees, he dropped it down to a simple majority of 51. So they just need 51 votes to approve Trump's nominees. But this is the same thing that Harry Reid did with the filibuster,
Yes.
where he dropped it down to a simple majority, and basically it's come back to bite them in the ass time and time again. So I'm not a big fan of this. I think that Thune really screwed the pooch on this one, and he's basically handing. Next time Democrats get into power, he's handing them a free pass to just get all of their radical nominees in place.
That's why I'm only a fan of it if they go all the way with it. If they say, all right, we're going to pass every single law through. And
this isn't a law thing, though.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
This is just about getting Trump's nominees in place. Flying blind on a rocket cycle for a $5 super sticker. Thank you so much. We got Johnny Gonzalez for $5. The most important thing to continue was Charlie Kirk's battle on college campuses.
Yes.
Bring youth back to at least the center from the left deep end. R.I.P. Charlie Kirk. And Fluffy Panda for $5. It wasn't some crazy voice they tried to silence. Kirk was the example of peaceful debating. That makes a huge difference. People are willing to step up now. And we have a few starred here things that I think Dutch wanted to highlight. Dutch, you want to read this one?
I did. I didn't start anything, but
Oh, it was probably me. Sorry, I put that in there.
Right,
I like what Wizard said. He said, I think if you want to be trans and you're going to take hormones, you should be kept locked up until you're done with them. They are mind altering and maybe retarded. He's right though. If you want to be a woman and you're an adult, I don't really care. Okay, I'm taking the libertarian stance here. It's none of my business, but it does literally make you insane. It makes you crazy while your body is adjusting to these mind-altering hormones. So you shouldn't be allowed to interact with regular people, especially in the altered state you are and in the echo chamber that is preaching violence against people. What did we find out about Charlie Kirk? Hey, the guy, I'm sorry, Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk's murder. The guy who killed him was living with a trans woman. He wasn't being infected by that exact same malware. So if you're on hormones, I think like a werewolf on a full moon, you need to be kept in a cage until your transformation is done.
We already know you can't trust a woman's emotions to begin with. Now you basically got a mutant women.
Now they're mutants. We need to lock them up like werewolves until the full moon's over, dude.
Or I dare you to tell them to calm down.
Or a bit more popular, maybe instead, let's just go after the source and let's just go the hell after these pharmaceutical companies and sue them into oblivion. That's what we should be doing.
But also keep in mind that the people who are making transitions have gender dysmorphia to begin with, so they're already going through a mental health crisis before they start transitioning.
We need to quit validating mental illness. That's the problem. It's mental illness. It's nothing else.
Yeah, and that's why any therapist.
I want to hear what Tom was going to say.
Any therapist who says that you are affirmed in your mental illness, they should lose their license. Period. And stop.
Go ahead, Tom.
Tom, what were you going to say?
Well, I was just saying this is kind of part of what I was getting at before. Is the problem you have here is you have half the country you have to convince. You have close to half the country that think this was justified. They did a study. I can't remember which college it was at. I don't think it was Utah, but it was one of the other ones, where they polled this, and over 43% of their student body thought that it was okay to commit violence over words. See, this is where we're at. This is where I've been trying to say. We're at an uphill battle. You guys have no fucking clue. Right? Like, I've been watching this shit for years. And the problem is you're not going to convince these motherfuckers a goddamn thing. The moment you rise up against them, all they're going to do is say, see? They're the violent fuckers we told you they were. And they're going to just turn it all against you because that's all they've done for years and years and years. And I agree with you guys. The most we can do right now is just stand up and call them out on their bullshit. That's the most you can really do. And at this point, just keep squashing them and squashing them and squashing them until they are no more. But the problem you have here, and this is where it's like people like my own dad, right, who is just so fucking bombarded and poisoned by the news and the media. See, this is the problem, is you're gonna have to convince a lot of people a lot of shit that they're not gonna just openly, with open arms take in and say, oh, you're right, we were wrong all this time. No, they're not. They're going to resist it with every little bone in their body. I had to basically shut my dad up by reminding him, guess what, Dad? I'm on the same fucking list as same list as this guy a lot of the time. And he doesn't even think about these things. And it's like, yeah, just for talking about movies, Dad.
That's true.
That's why you have to go. That's why we're seeing.
Tom,
going
I
after
love
the
you, but I
funding.
take exception with two things. Number one, you may have been watching this for 5 years, but I'm a lot older than you. And number two, don't ever tell me that I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about when I know what the fuck I'm talking about, which is what you said in the middle of your comments. Don't say none of you guys know what you're talking about. I know what the fuck I'm talking about.
I don't even know what
When it
that
comes
was
to left
referring
and right
to.
politics, since I've been deep in it, I'm deep in it more than all you motherfuckers combined. I know what the fuck. Don't tell me in the panel I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. You can get your opinion across, but don't tell me I don't know what the fuck.
I don't even know what you're referring to, Mike, exactly.
You said a minute ago.
About what part, though?
Rewind
You gotta be
it.
specific.
Rewind the tape and listen to it.
This isn't ESPN. We don't have that ability.
Yeah, I don't even know. You got to be more specific about what part I was referring to, because I don't even know what.
I think it was a general statement on you guys don't know again what you're talking about when it comes to the again. That was the general statement I heard too.
Move on. You can listen to it later. We can talk about this offline. Move on.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't give a shit, because this is not even what I fucking signed up for. I didn't sign up for politics.
Neither did I. In fact, later today, if not today or tomorrow, I'll announce it right now. I haven't told you yet, Tom. I was going to tell you first, Doomcock second, and maybe Nick third. After this week, I'm retiring from all pop culture bullshit on YouTube. I'm retiring from it all. I got more important shit to do in life with my family, with my faith, and with my community than to talk about fucking Marvel and DC and other bullshit.
Cage did warn us too that this was going to be a show that we didn't have to go to because it was going to be more political than your typical pop culture.
And Mike, I think you need to focus in a little bit more on your YouTube channel, because I know you're up over that 8 percentile level. You're at 8.86% or more. It's actually, you're up higher than that. You're in the top 5% of YouTubers. Did you know that?
Yep.
It's amazing. 3,000 subscribers. Dude, you shoot for the moon now, man. You got time.
Get it, bro.
And I do want to say, on the off chance that Tom watches the replay, we all love Tom. We respect his opinions. He does say some stuff that, can rub people the wrong way, but he always means well. So, Mike, don't take it personally.
Tom, give me a break. I just spent 2 weeks with Tom. Me and Tom can argue about shit and then hug it out and make out and spoon each other and get naked. Give me a break.
That's what I heard.
Oh, will you come to Vegas and spoon with me, Mike? That was fun.
You're not Tom Connors, and definitely not Culture.
I mean, I don't read all the articles that are always in the thing, but I always at least see what the general headlines we're talking about are, and it was pretty clear. Like, you even said in your email, "Hey, this is a show. If you want to skip it, I totally understand, because it's going to be talking about this stuff."
Yeah, but I think if anybody needs to talk about it, it's us. I mean, Mr. Kadish brought up the fact that if you just watch the guys on FNT, they're targets. Odin is a target. We need to have that understanding. We're targets. We're standing in front of some things that are uncomfortable for people, that they're trying to attack the very heart of American life, which is the Constitution of the U.S. that guarantees you these freedoms. Right. But they don't guarantee you freedom from consequences. And I think that, I'm being attacked right now because I'm in turn, like many others out there, I'm exposing these crazy human beings who are celebrating the loss of life.
Yeah. One thing that we do want to celebrate are super chats. Fluffy Panda just dropped $5. This just proves Charlie was on the good path. My conspiracy brain can't help but think someone pushed this kid like the church thing at Kirk. Anyway, guys, we had a lot to talk about today, and we talked about it. I want to thank everyone for being here today. I know it's not our usual show, but I felt it was important to discuss all these things. Next week, we will be back to our regularly scheduled nonsense. So I appreciate our guest, Culture Casino, Mexican Iron Man, for showing up today. I don't know what happened to Mr. Reagan. He told me he was going to be here, but then again, he's in a different country, so time zones and internet and all that stuff are always an issue. But hopefully we can get him on again sometime in the future. Culture Casino, any final thoughts, and where can people find more of you?
Sure. Look, follow all these gentlemen. They're my heroes, especially Mexican Iron Man. So follow his channel. It's a great channel. He's got lots of videos on there. He invites you into his family at times, so take advantage of that. Really get to know Mike. It's a good thing. Check out Odin, who I actually quietly hide in the background and lurk, so I don't have to chat, because his insights and Valiant's insights, add to mine on what we think of what's going on at the cinemas right now. And then, of course, you got the Brain Show that's coming
What's
up
up?
here. The Brain Show. You got to go watch that. And, and then for all you gamers.
Culture's an honorary brain show.
I wish. But that guy up there, that Dutch Butters guy, I love that guy. I love that guy. And Mr. Kadish, who's an inspiration for me, who inspired me to go look into more what actually happens on the platforms that we're on. So I feel like he exposed the way that the X algorithm works because he follows some quality people. So I feel like I'm learning about why I'm failing. So yeah. So help me unfail. Help me
Important to know how
unfail.
you fail.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Speaking of unfailing, everyone's favorite YouTuber, the guy who will rule the algorithms in 2026, Mexican Iron Man. Any final thoughts, and where can people find more of you?
You can't find me anywhere. I'm not a YouTuber, and I never will be. Hell no.
Okay, Mike.
I'm not 200.
Although you might find me, Tom, and Nicholas from Echo Base Network at an establishment of questionable repute again coming soon in November for a week.
Oh, by the way, Mike, I'm not to 100K yet. You can't leave.
I'm not. You have nothing to do with this. You don't even show up. Don't talk to me. Don't talk to me. You don't even show up when you're invited.
Oh. I hope Tom Connors had a good time with you, Mike, because he never leaves Wisconsin. So
bullshit. He just came to see me for 2 weeks.
that's what I said. I hope he had a good time with you because
We
he
had
never
a fucking
leaves.
great time. We just need more time. He should have come for a month, but we got to work that out with Andre.
Yeah, right on. And Odin of OMB Reviews, any final thoughts, and where can people find more of you?
Yeah, you can find me over at OMB Reviews on YouTube and all the different places. I read this quote last night, but the whole thing that's happened with Charlie Kirk has, I teach Intro to Philosophy in the beginning portion of my general Catholic morality class that I teach at my school, and everything about it just reminded me so much about Socrates against the sophist, against people like Protagoras, who said that there is no such thing as truth, right? People who rejected the truth, and how basically they convicted Socrates of doing nothing but corrupting the youth of Athens. Sounds very familiar to kind of like what's going on here with this, but he had this wonderful line in his final speech to the people that just convicted him. He said, "If you think that by killing men you can prevent someone from censuring your evil lives, you are mistaken. That is not a way of escape which is either possible or honorable. The easiest and the noblest way is to not be disabling others, but to be improving yourselves." And again, just those words just popped into my head the very moment that all this stuff happens, because killing him doesn't stop anything, right? You're still evil. You're still corrupted. You're still just as bad as you were before. And all that you've really done is, again, awoken the beast. And then I'll, of course, end with a last thing, which we can't forget as Christians, especially, that Christ did say for us to love our neighbor and to love our enemy. And it's hard to do sometimes. That does not mean that we have to like them. That does not mean that we have to get along with them. But we do need to desire their good. Even if they have no right to it, we still have to desire it for them. And so I just wanted to put that out there as well. So
Yeah, Odin, you know that quote that you just read, it reminded me of that time period in 2018, 2019, where we were fighting against, there is no, like, all art is subjective. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
It's like there is no objective standards in art. And we were just like, nope. That is
even the
not
ancient
correct.
Greeks thought that. And guess what?
Yeah.
It led to the fall of Athens, or at least partly.
Yeah. All right, Brian from the Popcast.
What's up?
Any final thoughts on what's happening on the Brain Show?
Well, we're talking about Charlie Kirk, but we're also talking about SNL, and we're talking about all the people that are being fired because of their retardation, and where you can help do that. And we're looking at a bunch of Fallout videos where people are effing around and finding out. It's pretty funny when they're like, "I lost my job." They're crying and stuff. It's actually really hilarious.
The real question everyone wants to know is, has Shane been radicalized?
Oh yeah, he'll be on the very last segment of the show, and he is definitely not happy about this Charlie Kirk thing. So you're gonna want to see that.
Have you peed yet?
Yeah,
I'm gonna be peeing.
You're
as soon
peeing
as the
right now.
cameras off.
I need to like really bad right now. So.
I've decided that
We
I'm
need
now
to
just
wrap
gonna
this
wear a
up.
diaper and a catheter. It's easier.
There you go. All right, Dutch Butters. Any
Hi.
final thoughts and what's going on the Salty Nerd Gaming channel? There was a Helldivers aspect to the whole.
Yeah, I would just like to say really quick that I'm not going to let the Helldivers aspect of this idiot affect me or my channel or my friends in any way whatsoever. And that's all I'm going to say. It's the game in this dude. It's just him trying to, I'm not even sure what the word is, trying to appropriate my game is nonsense. And fuck that guy. Okay, sorry, that's just all I got to say about him. But yeah, Helldivers, the biggest problem I have with it right now is that the game sucks. The code is broken. And my computer keeps crashing every time I turn the game on. So we're playing other games right now. We're getting ready to get into some new stuff. We're getting ready to play Jump Space. Comes out on Friday for $20. We're going to be playing the crap out of that game. And we got Battlefield and we got Arc Raiders coming out in the next month or so too. So we're having lots of fun over there. We got lots of things to do. And I just want to say really quick, thank you guys, Mike, Culture, Odin, Brian, and Tom, Matthew. I didn't have a lot to say today, but what I did say came from a place of emotion, and this was very therapeutic for me. I feel better. I feel a lot better now than I did 2 hours ago, and I'm glad I'm not alone. And I hope we had that same effect for some people in the chat. But it's we're living in a crazy world right now. Keep your eyes open, guys. Keep your head on a swivel, because things are gonna get, I think, a little crazier before they get better still. So, and that's all I got to really say. So have a good day, everybody.
Don't forget this one for Brian's Depends Fun.
There you go.
I was just about to pull that up. The Mum for $1.99 for Brian's Depends Fund. Yes, we used to have a refrigerator fund, but now it's for Brian's adult.
That's right. That's right.
Even your mom wants to support it. That's great.
Yes, exactly. All right, guys. I want to thank the panel. I know that this got super political and stuff like that, and people don't usually tune in to our show for those types of takes, but I felt like it was important to talk about. And I did express in the email, if you don't want to talk about it, you don't have to show up. But love Tom Connors Jr. He always brings a unique perspective, and I respect his views and stuff like that. And I also want to especially thank Mexican Iron Man Culture Casino for hopping on last minute as a part of the panel. Love you guys. And be sure to tune in next Saturday, same salty time, same salty channel, for more non-political takes on the entertainment industry. Until next time.